Geri was found outside a Supreme Court event with explosives. This shit is crazy. He was organized but whacked out of his head. Look at the sophistication of his incendiary devices. Grenades, explosives containing nitromethane with a rubber bend securing a fuse that he was to be used for detonation. Modified bottle rockets with aluminum foil heads attached and treated to a thermite solution to allow for a detonation of the devices from a distance. Good morning, America. First off, guys, I'm going to apologize for my appearance. The poison ivy or poison sumac or whatever, it's traveled onto my face, on my neck, it's on both arms, it's all on my side. I'll spare you that. Some not so funny news. I don't know if you guys have heard, but Sunday, someone tried to blow up the Supreme Court. Someone literally showed up to a church in Washington, set up a tent on the steps, and had a bunch of explosives laid out.
41-year-old South Jersey man named Geri arrested on the cathedral's steps with more than 200 homemade explosives. They included Molotov cocktails and vials containing nitromethane, a compound used in the Oklahoma City bombing.
Now, obviously, this was a Looney Tune that did this, but he had a reason for being at this church Sunday. Do you know what was going on at this church? It was Red Mass. It's where the Supreme Court has mass. He was going to blow up our Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court justices, before the October term reopens, many of them go to what's known as Red Mass.
Where last year you had Kavanaugh, you had Roberts, and you had Amy Coney Barrett all in attendance. Not to mention, a Catholic cardinal and like 1,200 people.
It was literally a despicable leftist terrorist attack in action. Thank God this Looney Tune leftist was completely incompetent. He left his tent that he had on the steps of this church to go take a piss. The cops wandered over and looked in the tent, and they found literally 200 different explosive devices.
So he told the people around him, he goes, "Hey, you might want to get out of here. I have explosives." And they're like, "What?" So you have explosives. And then he left the tent to go urinate on a tree. And that's when the cops picked him up. And basically he had a manifesto, scribblings or some writings on 9 separate pages. He was targeting the Catholic Church, as you know, about this Red Mass. I didn't know anything about it, but a Red Mass to pray for the success of the Supreme Court.
When officers told the man they were going to forcibly remove him, the court documents also say that he responded by telling cops, "Several of your people are going to die from one of these." Now, D.C. police said in a statement, during the arrest, officers observed multiple suspicious items, including vials of liquid and possible fireworks inside of the suspect's tent. The suspect is preliminarily charged with unlawful entry, threats to kidnap or injure a person, in possession of a Molotov cocktail. The investigation is ongoing.
I am a little bit concerned about the level of sophistication, it sounds like, with the explosive devices. When I think about some quacked out dork who's got indecent exposure, freaking, charges against him, I think about some guy trying to make some homemade concoction that's not going to work. But the way you made it sound is these things look like they were going to work.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they were legit. They had what the police called an M device on them, which I think is a military insignia. So it'd be interesting to see whether this guy has a military background. But this was a real threat, and the bomb squad was able from Metropolitan Police in D.C. was able to apprehend what they called 200 devices with a small smell of acetone. Some of the liquid was determined to be nitromethane. And so, yeah, this could have been a disaster.
So a manifesto was found, and this manifesto specifically cited the Supreme Court. It cited ICE. It cited Catholicism. Post-millennial. Man arrested outside D.C. church had 200 explosives and a manifesto targeting Catholic, ICE, Supreme Court, and Jews. He then gave him several sheets of a paper and a manifesto called Written Negotiations for the Avoidance of Destruction of Property via Detonation of Explosives. According to the police, the manifesto revealed a significant animosity towards the Catholic Church, members of the Jewish faith, members of SCOTUS, and ICE facilities. Geri shifted his right thumb over the top of the butane lighter to initiate the lighting action and stated, "You better have these people step away or there's going to be deaths." After he left the tent to urinate, the suspect was taken into custody by officers. He said he had a detonation device in his pocket and a vial with a white cap, which contained yellow liquid inside, with an M device taped to the exterior, police records say. And he even threw in some Jew hatred in for the mix, because, you know, the left doesn't naturally love Jewish people anymore. Kind of an interesting little issue. I just think it's ironic because, you know, Jewish people have been such a force on the left for so long. You know, it's just kind of ironic. We'll get into another time. Anyways, so yeah, you would think that this would instantly explode over the national wire. Like every newscaster at CNN, MSNBC, Fox, CBS, ABC, everybody. They would be doing segments on it on Comedy Central. And the nation would be embroiled in rage and anger. Like, how could this happen? They almost took out a branch of our government. But there's nothing. It's almost like a media blackout. Of course. We know why. This is very worrying. Because what happens when media just completely does a blackout? And it's just left to small-time creators like me to try to get the word out, to spread the message, to spread the alarm. I don't know if you guys have seen my previous series, but I've been totally predicting this bout of left-wing terrorism. I saw it come. I mean, remember, right after the election, there was the Cute Winter Boots campaign on TikTok, where they were openly talking about insurrection. It was at that point that they started to become organized. And I made video series on this. I called this series my comprehensive survey into leftist political violence. There are 6 episodes. I'll provide links for this series on every platform that I'm posting this on. The links will either be pinned top comment or they'll be in the bio or description. And this is my other series that you should check out, all about the Democrats' pathetic attempts to gaslight the American people into thinking that MAGA or MAGA-aligned individuals are assassinating MAGA or MAGA-aligned leaders. This series does a deep dive into the background of Thomas Crooks, Ryan Ruth, and Tyler Robinson. It's a very good series. I will likewise provide links in the bio, description, or pinned in the top comment. I was trying to scream to the heavens, shout to the heavens, that this was going to get worse and that there was going to be people that are going to be murdered. And unfortunately, I see this spiraling, guys. I don't see any way around it. The left, they're committed to terrorism. I mean, look at the situation with the Virginia Attorney General race. Jay Jones. That man openly, I mean, he was laughing about killing conservative children. You know, said some of the most despicable things on planet Earth. And, gosh, I guess since I'm going to be uploading this to YouTube, I should say unaliving. All right, you know, I'll beep it out. In the editing process or whatever. God, that's draconian, Orwellian. You know, that censorship, it's insane, guys. But anyways. So, yeah, this is just going to get worse because the left's not going to desist in their violence. And we can't get them to desist because their leaders in the party and their thought leaders in the media space, they're not going to disavow this terrorism and violence and death. And they're going to, as we respond, you know, to defend ourselves and to defend the country, they're going to, of course, try to frame it as we're the aggressors upon them. So it's going to be a constant back and forth in the information space. It's going to be like 1,000 little wars, 1,000 little bad. I mean, that's a little bit further down the line, but I mean, things could get bad quick, guys. Sorry to be, I'm not trying to blackpill you, but I'd be preparing for, if things did go south, I think it's about that time. Preparations and planning. I'm not saying attacking anyone, YouTube or anyone, any moderator on any platform. What I'm saying is just be prepared to be able to protect your family and those you love, in case there is civil unrest, right? I think that's a pretty universal hope, You know what? Look at it like this. We live in the most exciting time, maybe since World War II. It'd be more like the Spanish Civil War.
The Civil War became the battlefield for international ideologies. Before then, it was Spain's own revolution and counter-revolution. Justice was swept away by random brutality. Historians say the war's dead could be as many as 500,000. Half of them died in battle, the rest died by assassination, summary execution, or massacre. This was the town of Belchite in Spain. When the Spanish Civil War ended in 1939, it was left in its ruins to serve as a memorial to the devastation of Spain in one of the most savage civil conflicts Europe has ever seen. The Civil War lasted from 1936 to 1939. It cost perhaps 500,000 lives. It ruined cities, towns and villages. For some, the victors, it was a crusade against godless revolution. For others, the defeated, it was a struggle against the forces of reaction that had oppressed Spain for generations. The Spanish Civil War still haunts the world's imagination.
Spain was fought on every side by hundreds of factions, in a conflict that was as confusing as it was deadly. Some of the names of them factions may sound familiar: anarchists, communists, republicans, fascists, nationalists, Nazis. It was a war where the faithful fought the faithless. Tradition clashed with modernity, and the forces of the left coalesced as the forces of the right coalesced, where the two had an epic showdown. Town against town, city against city, region against region. Sometimes the factions on the various sides fought one another.